A luxury car pulls into an underground parking garage in London. A young woman in designer clothes steps out, handing her keys to an elderly parking attendant eating a simple meal on a wooden bench. What happens next will challenge everything you think you know about respect, dignity, and what it means to treat people as equals. If you believe kindness costs nothing, but means everything, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This story will remind you why treating everyone with dignity matters. Let's dive in. It was a grey Tuesday afternoon in central London when Elena Hartwell pulled her silver Mercedes into the underground parking garage beneath the glass tower where she worked. The hum of the city above was muffled down here. Just the echo of tires on concrete and the distant rumble of the tube passing beneath. Elena stepped out of her car, her heels clicking against the floor. She was young, successful, the kind of woman who'd built her career through both brilliance and kindness, though not everyone appreciated the latter. In her hand, she held her car keys, and across the dim parking level, she spotted Henrik Nordstrom. Henrik was the parking attendant, a man in his early 60s with silver hair and kind, tired eyes. He'd worked in this building for over 15 years, watching executives come and go, always with a polite nod and a warm smile. Today, he sat on a worn wooden bench near the security booth, his lunch spread out on a piece of brown paper. 2 slices of plain bread and a few rings of raw onion. That was it. Nothing else. Elena walked toward him, keys in hand, but she slowed when she saw what he was eating. Something tightened in her chest. "Henrik," she called gently, "could you clean my car when you have a moment? There's some mud on the doors from the weekend." Henrik looked up mid-bite and immediately began to stand. "Of course, Miss Hartwell. Right away." No, Elena said quickly, holding up her hand. "You're eating. Please sit down." But before Henrik could respond, a sharp voice cut through the air. "Oh, for heaven's sake." It was Vivian Ashford, Elena's personal assistant. She came striding across the parking garage, her expression tight with irritation, designer handbags swinging at her side. Vivian was efficient, polished, and had opinions about everything, especially about who belonged where. "Honestly, Miss Hartwell," Vivian said, barely glancing at Henrik. "What do they even do all day? Just sitting around eating." She turned to Henrik, her tone cold. "Get up. Clean Miss Hartwell's car first. You can eat later." Henrik began to rise, his weathered hands fumbling to wrap up his bread. "Vivian, stop." Elena's voice was quiet, but it carried weight. "Sit down, Henrik. Please." Henrik hesitated, then slowly sat back down. Elena turned to her assistant, her expression calm but firm. "It's his kindness that he helps us with these small tasks, Vivian. His job is to provide security for this building, not to wash cars. We should be grateful, not demanding." Vivian's mouth opened slightly, then closed. She looked away, chastised. Elena's eyes drifted back to Henrik's lunch, the bread, the onion, nothing more. Her heart ached. "Henrik," she said gently, crouching slightly to meet his eyes. "Where's the rest of your meal? No curry? No soup?" Henrik smiled, a little embarrassed. "My wife, Astrid. She's not been well lately, Miss Hartwell. She's the cook in our house. I only know how to make toast, really. So, I eat it lovingly." He chuckled softly, but there was sadness behind it. "Why not buy something from the cafe across the street?" Elena asked. "Or one of the lunch spots nearby?" Henrik's smile faded a little. He set down his bread. "I could, Miss Hartwell, but my salary is only £1,200 a month. Astrid's treatments, the medications, the specialist appointments, it all adds up. There's not much left after." Elena felt a lump form in her throat. "Oh, please," Vivian muttered under her breath. "These are just excuses. They all say the same thing." "Vivian." Elena's voice was sharp now, like a blade. She stood and turned fully toward her assistant. "How many times have I told you not to interrupt when 2 people are speaking? Do you not understand basic respect?" Vivian's face flushed. I'm sorry, Miss Hartwell." Elena took a breath, softening slightly. She turned back to Henrik. "Why don't you eat from the office canteen upstairs? The company provides free meals for all staff. You know that, don't you?" Henrik looked down at his hands. "The canteen, Miss Hartwell, that's for office employees. Not for people like me." "But you work here," Elena said, confused. "You're on the payroll. You're staff." Before Henrik could answer, Vivian spoke again, quieter this time, but still laced with that same edge. "He's a parking attendant, Miss Hartwell. We're office staff. It's different." Elena's jaw tightened. She looked at Vivian for a long moment, then back at Henrik. Henrik, she said clearly. Starting today, you will eat your lunch in the company canteen. If anyone says a word to you about it, you come directly to me. Do you understand? Henrik's eyes widened. Miss Hartwell, do you understand? She repeated, but kindly. He nodded slowly, his voice thick. Yes. Thank you. Elena held out her hand. Now give me the car keys. I'll have someone else take care of it. Henrik handed them over, still stunned. As Elena walked toward the lift, Vivian trailing behind her, Henrik sat alone on that bench, staring at his bread and onions. But for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel invisible. The next morning, Elena was in her office on the 19th floor, sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the Thames. She was reviewing quarterly reports when her door flew open without a knock. Vivian stormed in, her face flushed, her usual composure shattered. Miss Hartwell, I need to speak with you. Now. Elena looked up slowly, setting down her pen. Go ahead, Vivian. Vivian closed the door behind her and crossed her arms. You made a mistake yesterday. A big one. Elena raised an eyebrow. Did I? Yes. Vivian's voice was tight, barely controlled. Allowing that parking attendant to eat in our canteen, it's completely inappropriate. He actually went up there this morning. He sat down with a tray like he belonged there. She shook her head in disbelief. Miss Hartwell, just think about it. Look at his level and ours. It doesn't look right. People are talking. Elena leaned back in her chair, her expression unreadable. She let the silence stretch for a moment. You're absolutely right, Vivian. Vivian blinked, surprised. I am. Yes, Elena said, nodding thoughtfully. You're completely right. It doesn't look right at all. Vivian exhaled in relief. Thank you. I knew you'd see sense once you. It will look much better, Elena continued, her voice calm and clear, when all of our security staff, cleaners, and maintenance workers eat together with us in the canteen. Every single day. The color drained from Vivian's face. What? Elena stood up, walking around her desk. I've been thinking about this for weeks, actually. Waiting for the right moment. You've just given it to me. She reached for her phone. Thank you. Miss Hartwell, you can't be serious. Elena dialed a number. Come upstairs, please. My office. She hung up and turned back to Vivian. I am absolutely serious. Starting tomorrow, every member of this company's staff, regardless of job title, will eat lunch together in the canteen. No one will bring food from home. No more invisible walls. Vivian's hands trembled slightly. But that's not how things are done. There are hierarchies for a reason. Hierarchies? Elena's voice was soft, but there was steel beneath it. I eat lunch with you and the rest of the team every day, don't I? Well, yes, but... Have I ever made you feel beneath me? No, but that's different. How is it different, Vivian? Elena asked, stepping closer. I'm your boss. I make decisions that affect your career, your livelihood. By your logic, I should be eating alone in some executive dining room, shouldn't I? Looking down from above. Vivian opened her mouth, then closed it. There was a knock at the door. Come in, Elena called. Henrik entered, looking uncertain, his security uniform neatly pressed. Miss Hartwell? You asked to see me? Yes, Henrik. Come in, please. Elena smiled warmly at him, then gestured between him and Vivian. I wanted you to hear this directly from me. Starting tomorrow, there's a new policy in this building. Henrik's brow furrowed slightly, worried. Elena continued, her voice clear and kind. All security personnel, cleaning staff, and maintenance workers are not only welcome in the company canteen, you're expected to eat there. Every day. Together with everyone else. No exceptions. Henrik's eyes went wide. Miss Hartwell, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, Elena replied. You work here. You keep this building safe. You deserve to eat a proper meal, just like everyone else. Henrik's voice cracked slightly. Thank you. Truly. This means more than you know. Vivian made a small sound of protest. Miss Hartwell, please reconsider. The other staff members won't. Elena turned to her sharply. The other staff members will do exactly as I've asked. And if you, Vivian, have a problem with eating alongside people you consider beneath you, then you're welcome to bring your lunch from home. I don't want people in my office who measure human worth by job titles. The room fell silent. Vivian's face was scarlet now. She looked down. I apologize, Miss Hartwell. I was wrong. I'll never speak that way again. Elena's expression softened just slightly. Good. Because I've built this company on one principle, Vivian. everyone matters. From the CEO to the person who empties the bins at night. We all contribute. We all deserve dignity. She turned back to Henrik. You may go. I'll see you in the canteen tomorrow. Henrik nodded, his eyes glistening. Yes, Miss Hartwell. Thank you. As he left, Vivian stood frozen near the door. Elena returned to her desk, picking up her pen. You may go as well. Vivian hesitated. I really am sorry. I know, Elena said quietly, not looking up. Now let's make sure you mean it. Vivian nodded and slipped out of the office. Alone now, Elena gazed out at the city below, the endless movement of people, each with their own struggles, their own stories. She thought of Henrik eating bread and onions. She thought of his wife, ill and struggling. She thought of all the people working in the shadows of this building, unseen and unappreciated. Not anymore. Tomorrow, things would change. And she couldn't wait to see what that change would bring. 2 months passed. The canteen on the 10th floor had transformed into something Elena had never quite anticipated. What was once a quiet, sterile space filled with polite but distant conversations had become something alive, something warm. Every day at noon, the room filled with laughter. Engineers sat beside cleaners, swapping stories about their children. Marketing executives shared tables with security guards, discussing football matches and weekend plans. The head of finance, a stern man named Gerald, had discovered a shared love of fishing with one of the maintenance crew. They now met every Saturday at dawn by the river. Even Vivian had changed. Slowly, quietly, but genuinely. She now greeted Henrik every morning with a smile, and last week, Elena had overheard her asking about his wife's health with real concern in her voice. It was a small revolution, but it was real. One evening in late November, Elena was working late. The building was nearly empty, the hum of the heating system the only sound. Outside, rain lashed against the windows, and the sky was dark and heavy. She gathered her things, exhausted, and headed down to the parking garage. Her heels echoed in the empty space as she approached her car, fumbling for her keys. She slid into the driver's seat, turned the ignition, and... nothing. She tried again. The engine sputtered, coughed, and died. No, 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 Elena muttered, trying a third time. Nothing. She dropped her head against the steering wheel, frustration washing over her. It was late. She was tired. And now this. Miss Hartwell? She looked up, startled. Henrik was standing outside her window, holding an umbrella, concern etched across his face. Henrik, what are you still doing here? Your shift ended hours ago. He smiled gently. I had some paperwork to finish. Heard your engine. Sounds like the battery. He held up a set of jumper cables and a small toolbox. May I? Elena stepped out of the car, relief flooding through her. Please. I'd be lost without you. Henrik popped the bonnet and got to work, his experienced hands moving with quiet confidence. As he connected the cables, he spoke softly. Miss Hartwell, I've been meaning to thank you. Properly. For what? Elena asked, holding the umbrella over both of them. For everything. The canteen. The dignity. But there's something else. Something I need to tell you. He glanced up at her, and she saw tears glistening in his eyes. My wife, Astrid, she's recovering. Fully recovering. Elena's breath caught. Henrik, that's wonderful. He nodded, swallowing hard. 3 weeks ago, she had surgery. A procedure we'd been told we couldn't afford. Not for years, maybe never. His voice cracked. The doctor said if we'd waited another month, I might have lost her. Elena felt her own eyes burning. How did you manage it? Henrik straightened up, wiping his hands on a cloth. He looked at her fully now. After you changed the canteen policy, something unexpected happened. People started talking. Really talking. They learned about each other's lives, their struggles, their joys. And they learned about Astrid. He paused, his voice thick with emotion. Miss Hartwell, the staff, dozens of them, they started a fund. Voluntarily. Engineers, assistants, cleaners, managers, even Vivian. They contributed a little each month. Some gave £5, some gave 50. Within weeks, they'd raised enough for Astrid's surgery and 6 months of medication. Elena's hand flew to her mouth. Henrik continued, tears now streaming down his weathered face. But here's what they told me when they presented it. They said, Henrik, Miss Hartwell taught us something. She taught us that kindness isn't about how much money you have. It's about seeing each other. Really seeing each other. Elena couldn't speak. Her throat was too tight. You saved my wife's life, Miss Hartwell. Not with your money, with your kindness. You showed people that a parking attendant is just as human as a CEO. And because you did that, they saw me. They saw Astrid. And they cared. The rain pounded around them, but neither noticed. Elena reached out and took Henrik's hand. I didn't do this, Henrik. They did. No, Henrik said firmly, shaking his head. You started it. You threw the first stone into the water. Everything else was just the ripples. He turned back to the car. Try it now. Elena slid back into the driver's seat, turned the key, and the engine roared to life. She stepped back out, and before she could think, she wrapped Henrik in a hug. He stiffened in surprise, then hugged her back. Thank you, she whispered, for reminding me why this matters. When she finally pulled away, Henrik was smiling, a real, deep smile that reached his eyes. Drive safely, Miss Hartwell. Elena got into her car, but before she drove off, she looked back. Henrik stood there in the dim light of the parking garage, waving. Behind him, through the glass walls, she could see the glowing lights of the 10th floor canteen. Empty now, but still warm. As she drove up the ramp and into the rainy London night, Elena understood something profound. The greatest gift we can give isn't money. It isn't power. It isn't status. It's the simple, radical act of seeing someone, of treating them as if they matter. Because they do. And when we do that, when we choose kindness over hierarchy, dignity over division, we don't just change one life. We change everything. Henrik's wife is alive today because one woman chose to see a man eating bread and onions and refused to look away. In a world obsessed with levels, with who belongs where, Elena Hartwell chose something different. She chose kindness. And that choice created a miracle. What will your choice be? If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more stories that remind us what truly matters. Because at the end of the day, we don't rise by climbing over others. We rise by lifting them up.